To recognize the chairman of the full committee, Mr. John Kline, for his questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to the witnesses, a great panel. Sometimes I don't know whether to laugh or cry when I'm hearing these stories. It's just absolutely incredible. Ms. Burcum, when we were up at the Bug-O-Negatiok School a couple of weeks ago now, I mean, it's clearly appalling. It's the northern part of Minnesota, springtime, and yet there's still snow on the ground and ice in the lakes, and it's cold, and there's drafty openings, and it's just appalling. I know that, it's my understanding at least, that you've talked to Secretary Jewell about the bug school particularly. What do they say?
That's a very good question. Secretary Jewell has also visited the Bug-O-Negatiok School, and I think, you know, her visit inspired hope that there's going to be a new school sometime soon. But when I had exchanges with Secretary Jewell and Dr. Roussel, there is no plan, as far as I can tell, to rebuild the school. And what they tell me is that, number one, they have many other schools in tough shape, as hard as that is to believe, and that, you know, their hands are just tied. There's no funding available. They're busy doing this bureaucratic reorganization. It just doesn't seem like there's, you know, there's a lot of defeatism, I think, within that agency. It's like it's been a problem for so long that maybe collectively, you know, even new leadership throws up its hands, even after they've seen the conditions at these schools.
Again, laugh or cry. Ms. Emery-Aris, the GAO has done an enormous amount of work, and you personally have done an enormous amount of work. And I'm looking, we have a paper copy of what you showed on the screen up there. And in discussing the situation over the last few weeks, I've made the point that you have a bureaucratic mess. Just a bureaucratic mess. Who is in charge? We talked about the Secretary of the Interior, but you've got the BIA, you've got the BIE, you've got the Department of Education. You have vacancies. You just have a mess. Why do you think, since we've known about this for a long time, and many of us more now aware of it thanks to Ms. Burcum's work, why do you think it's so slow to be recognized and improved, and where is the particular or most particular obstacle that keeps us from addressing this problem?
That's really tough to answer. We've had multiple recommendations that would really get at the heart of a lot of these issues. Have a plan, know what you're doing, have the right people with the right skills, with the right training to do their jobs, and those recommendations have remained unaddressed. Or perhaps they'll do something, but it remains in draft form, and it's never realized. So it continues to create issues.
Is that because of a changing leadership, or what prevents this from coming to fruition here? Because clearly nobody can go visit one of these schools and not say, we need to fix this.
Right.
But it doesn't happen.
We have noted that the turnover in leadership has been an issue. I think also there's lack of communication with schools. When you showed that chart, I don't think most people could understand what was going on there. We had experiences with schools where they had real issues. They were out of hot water in elementary schools. They needed to get hot water for their kids, and they didn't know who to contact, and it took sometimes a year to get those hot water heaters replaced.
Well, looking at this chart and listening to your testimony, knowing the work you've done and the work all of you have done in this, it seems to me that we just can't let up. I mentioned to a number of people that Congress itself is not well organized to address this. We're having this hearing in Chairman Rokita's subcommittee, where we have jurisdiction, if you will, over the U.S. Department of Education, who has about this much to do with this issue and virtually zero to do with the building construction issue. So we're not well organized here either, but we in Congress can't let that be an excuse, and I think we all owe it to these kids to get past the confusing charts and the way we're organized in Congress and say it's somebody else's. It's time now for it to be all of our responsibility, and we should never visit a high school built in a pole barn that was designed to work on cars and trucks, and you've got kids in there in the winter, in the cold, wearing their coats and mittens, because it may be easily 30 below zero outside a little metal wall with gaps this big, letting that cold air in where you have a blanket to stop it. My time has expired. I yield back.